Fan Radio, Raiders Fan Radio, Raiders Fan Radio, Raiders Fan Radio! Sonny and Murf, a podcast by Raiders fans, for Raiders fans. We're the only fans that matter. Come on, everybody, it's Raiders Fan Radio!
Touchdown! Kenny Stabler goes all the way!
We miss you, we love you, and we'll see you in the Hall of Fame.
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing. Just win, baby. I love this team. I think this team can win.
I'm a fan of this team too, Al. And I think they can win. I'm a little tired. I was doing 50-pound dumbbell squats during the intro, getting pumped up. Welcome into another fantastic episode of Raiders Fan Radio. I am your out-of-breath host, Sonny Dego. With me in studio, as always, is my other host, who's probably out of breath because he peeled an orange an hour ago. Murf, how you doing?
I was going to say, what'd you do? You didn't do dumbbell curls. You probably tied your shoes there, Slim.
I swear. If we were on the video podcast,
yeah,
I was doing some dumbbell prep. I'm trying to get in shape, Murf. We're trying to get in shape.
Yeah, yeah, who you fooling? You and Eddie doesn't Vander doesn't skip lunch.
Yeah. Eddie doesn't miss a meal.
Yeah, although, man, did you see they reported today? He actually looked pretty good.
301. He looked pretty mean.
Looks a little slim. Looked pretty mean.
Anyway, welcome into another show. Murf, where can they find all of our information on the interwebs at for Raiders Fan Radio?
Well, Sonny, I'm glad you asked. Hey, boys and girls, this is Uncle Mosh. That's right. Somebody actually claims Sonny and Murf. These two. Check them out on their website, RaidersFanRadio.com. You can friend them on Facebook at Raiders Fan Radio. Or you can like their fan page at Raiders Fan Radio Podcast. Hey, I don't tweet. I don't even know how to use a Twitter. But they do. You can tweet them at Raiders Fan Radio. Call them. Leave a voicemail if you want. Go old school. 909-345-3346. That's 909-345-3346. Hey, do this. Please subscribe and rate Raiders Fan Radio on iTunes. You can listen to the show on all podcast services like Stitcher, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, and many, many more. Okay, am I done? Did I say all the stuff I was supposed to say? All right, I'm out of here.
Thank you to our twit-tastic Uncle Mosh for the information. You know what else he doesn't say? He says, you can listen to him on Podcast Addict, Stitcher. He never mentions iTunes, knucklehead. Anyway, we got another uncle out of work. We might hire him. Today.
Oh, he says it in a completely separate thing. Okay. Like and subscribe to him on iTunes. Subscribe and rate to him on iTunes.
Anyway,
hey, easy, man. Don't be trying to trade in Uncle 1 for Uncle 2 now, okay?
Okay. I just want Uncle to know Uncle 2's ready anytime he wants. We got 5 topics we're gonna hit today. 5 topics we're gonna hit today. Number 1, a brief 2017 draft recap. I mentioned brief because there's no way.
Wait, where?
What?
Why has it got to be so brief? Folks want to know about the draft. You can't find it anywhere else.
Yeah. A, you can find it everywhere you go. B, every other podcast has already been giving their draft grades. C, everybody else is giving you incorrect information, only their opinions, because you cannot know if the draft was good or not until 2 or 3 years down the road. Hence, topic number 2, we're going to look at a 5-year draft history for Reggie McKenzie, going all the way back from 2002. We're going to look at who he drafted. Are they still on the team? Were they serviceable when they were on the team? And were they an impact player? And we're going to give you the percentage of players that Reggie McKenzie has ever drafted and if they're still on the team or not. We're also going to compare them to the team that was rated the highest percentage as far as drafting well. We're also going to look at two articles, one written in 2013, another that was written in 2017, that illustrates just how far the Raiders have come in the draft. Topic number 4, someone recently made the 100-player list. Topic number 5, if we get to it, Del-Rio, I think, to calm the fans, states that they haven't addressed the middle linebacker position. And finally, number 6, let's see, Will Reeve, our Twitter friend, owner of the RaidersWire.com, recently on his website, Ryan Cavender wrote an article stating that we should cut Sebastian Janikowski. I disagree. Murf agrees. We'll talk to that if we can. Let's jump right into it. Murf, the draft was last week. It's been covered immensely.
There was a draft?
Yeah, there was a draft. Not just I won't say anything bad. There was a draft last week. Everybody's
You mean besides the one of my boys?
Everybody's covered it.
Go ahead,
I think the draft comes down to this. If Conley is cleared of charges and plays well, all is well. If he's not cleared of charges, McKenzie has egg on his face, and it all falls on him. Is there any other way to recap the draft than that?
Well, yeah, I think it goes a lot deeper than that. If we're just going to skim the surface, yeah, that's obviously the biggest point. And, man, I don't like how the lawyer has changed up his language. And, they went from, well, he didn't have anything to do with it to, oh, yeah, they were there together, but it was consensual. Look, I hope the kid's innocent, and I hope that, this is just a play on his potential earnings, that someone is looking for a payday. Gosh, man, for the team's sake, for the kid's sake, and, it's just such a funky thing that, you don't want to, if the girl's got a legitimate thing, like, you don't want to demean her in that as well. So it's such a weird, hard thing to evaluate, so let's just look at it strictly from a fan's perspective. Yes, Reggie is rolling the dang dice, and if he craps out, it's not just egg on his face, but it's a major, major blemish on his draft career, because here now it is the second time that he's done this with a cornerback and crapped out both times. So I hope that everything works out the best for all parties involved, and this kid can move on with his career.
He was a surefire first rounder before the rape allegations. Once they came out, then everybody kind of, was a little cautious with him. Reggie felt confident and picked him up. The second guy they got was Obi Melanthonwu, quite possibly the coolest name on the Raiders besides Osimile. Safety out of Connecticut. A lot of people reported Obi was a guy Raiders targeted in the first round as well. So if Conley works out, and they got Obi, they kind of got maybe a 2-for-1, because a lot of people said Obi could have went in the first round as well. And if that tandem, if they come in and play well, maybe they're starting late this year, maybe even next year, do we have Soul Patrol 2 on our hands with Joseph, Conley, Obi, and maybe Amerson as well?
Certainly could be, yeah, absolutely. Or the next generation of, Hayes and Haynes and all that. I mean, yeah, this is pretty solid. I mean, it's no Nnamdi Asomugha or Stanford route, but, that was a joke. Anyways. All right, but
Too soon.
Sorry, Chris Johnson. I know. How about it's no Stanford route and Chris Johnson? Okay, no, that one didn't work either. Okay, anyways, I actually, in retrospect, I kind of like the Obi pick better than the Conley pick.
Me too.
And he's just a physical freak, and if his coverage skills can translate, which everybody says that they're going to, and when there's that kind of a consensus, unless something crazy happens, usually it will come to some sort of fruition. And so if that's the case, then guess what? We got somebody to put on Gronk. We got somebody to put on all these tight ends that just we've had a major issue with over the past couple of years, and from there's a ton. Julius Thomas, Greg Olsen, like all of a sudden I was just flooded by all these guys that have ran roughshod. Gary Barnidge. I mean, you think of all the tight ends that have beat up our secondary, or middle or our linebackers over the past, handful of years. This is the exact guy to do it. So you put him in and he matches up entirely with those pass catching tight ends. I think this is awesome. Plus the guy, I guess, apparently he's fluid enough to be able to cover in the slot too. So he doesn't even necessarily have to come off the field, depending on what kind of a set they're in offensively. So, he can slide out. He can either cover Gronk or Edelman.
Let me ask you a question.
If that's the kind of,
I don't think he's covering Edelman. He's too big for that. But does the fact that Obi can cover the middle linebacker, or I'm sorry, the fact that Obi can cover a tight end, does that help with the fact that the Raiders didn't go after a middle linebacker? Does that kind of help you stomach it a little bit?
A little bit, yeah, absolutely. Because I think that's where we see a lot of other players too, and a lot of other teams are going to these hybrid type position players where they're not quite safeties, like they're not big as a normal linebacker would be, right? But they still have they're not as big as linebackers, but they have the fluidity and the movement skills of safeties. So they're kind of this hybrid in between type position. And so, yeah, I think that if that's the kind of player that he's going to end up being, and I'm trying to remember, the most glaring example is that guy from the Cardinals, and it's killing me. I can't remember.
What about Troy Polamalu?
Yeah, Polamalu's a little more I mean, yes and no. I mean, he wasn't, I think this guy, he's being sold as a much better coverage type player. I think Polamalu was just the ultimate strong safety. I think he was just the ultimate, at the line of scrimmage type player where you didn't know if he was going to drop, if he was going to blitz, if he was going to stay in and play the run. Like he could do it all. I don't know if this guy's got that kind of physicality to him. We don't know. I mean, we'll certainly find out. Polamalu came in with a little bit better of a pedigree than I think what this guy is coming in out of UConn. Polamalu playing at SC. I mean, I think that was a little bit different of story, but either way, I mean, no matter what, I thought this fills a need. This is a guy who, he may not be, starting on first down week 1, but by third down he will be. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is a guy I think that fits an immediate need much quicker than Conley did. And, I don't need to go back and review my displeasure with that pick. And, we all heard it loud and clear draft night, but, I felt that the Raiders needed to address the linebacker spot because that was the most glaring need, and there was monster players on the board. Well, if this guy is all that he's evaluated to be, then this guy is going to be a monster player. And frankly, I think he'll have a greater impact right away than what a Conley will, who's going to be, battling for a starting job.
I like having Obi and Carl in the backfield, or in the deep safety spots there. I like both of them to creep up. I like both of them to help with the run game, coverage games. I think those 1-2 is going to be nice. Eddie Vander does he play? Does he not play? Eddie Vander, does he cut his weight? Eddie Vander, does he return back to his 2014 form? A lot of question marks with the 3rd round pick. It is the defensive tackle. We do need at least depth in the defensive tackle spot. I thought that was a decent pick. I wasn't jumping up and down for it. What were your thoughts on it?
I like his size. I liked his size now more than his size last year during the season. Man, and just that quick little video where they showed him, getting out of the car, going into the facility today. I mean, he looks yoked, man. He looks great. So if that's the kind of, if he could bring the level of quickness that he brought like at the Senior Bowl to, the Raiders at that size, then yeah, I think that he's going to create some interior pressure there, which our team desperately needs, as we know. Mm-hmm. I mean, we think, we have 3 sacks from the inside this year, and not that you're going to expect to have a lot of sacks in there anyways, but I think we're just going to get a little bit better of a push in there with a player like that, because he's still big. He's still, he's still a very large guy. What is he, 315 or 305 or something like that?
Even at his fighting weight.
301 today. Okay, so there you go. So he's still 300 dang pounds. You know what I mean? So he's still certainly, 6'3", 300 pounds. I mean, that's a pretty big dude. So anyways, I like that one. I think it's a question mark, but it's a 3rd round pick, right? Like that's kind of what you expect in the 3rd round. Again, Also, I thought a little late. I could have swore that he was going to go linebacker and defensive tackle with the first couple picks. The fact that he waited till the third round, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. But, yeah, I think that he's certainly the kind of player you're going to expect in the third round, and he definitely fits a need.
Next rounds, he went with Markel Lee, linebacker, David Sharp, offensive tackle out of Florida, the fourth round. Yep. I think that was merely just Penn's backup. Maybe he turns into something, maybe he doesn't. But we still have about a year, maybe 2 years left with Penn, so I think that was a safe pick. Markel Lee, linebacker, Wake Forest, round 5. Reggie has been stated as saying he likes linebackers in the 4th and 5th round. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think he should take a chance earlier, or do you like Markel Lee?
Yeah, I wish he would have taken a chance earlier. I think that we are such at a deficiency at that position that I would have liked to have seen him take a linebacker much higher than the 5th round. I get it why he took Sharp in the 4th. That's like you said, he'll be around long enough for Penn to retire. And he's just a monstrous man. I mean, that guy he's huge. Plus he protected his kid at Florida. So, all the dots, Del-Rio's kid, excuse me. Yes. So all the dots connect there. And so that makes sense.
And he's not blind in one eye. It's blurry, but he's not blind. He's not legally blind in that eye. And
it's never that was something that got brought up. Yeah. That he had vision issues, but he said it's never affected him in his career. And it certainly didn't seem to, at Florida. So I think we're good there. So Markel Lee, it's hard with these type of players because, I don't know about you, but I didn't watch too many Wake Forest games this year.
Yeah, I kind of fell asleep.
It's hard when I kind of missed that one. So it's hard to, when they draft these guys, all you can do is go off of the Mayoks and the Todd McShays and all those kind of guys that have their grades and their evaluations of these players and what people think. So, I mean, sure, everything sounds great about him, but, so did C.O. Moore, so we'll see, once he gets on the field. But let me say this. They certainly are advertising him the Raiders are definitely, putting him out there as far as their draft class goes. And I don't know if that's a way to tell Raider Nation, hey, look, no, we got a guy. This guy's going to be okay. Everybody, calm down. So I don't know. So we'll see. I will wish him the best. I hope he's the next, whatever, Patrick Willis. I hope that the kid's a monster, but, we'll see. 5th round pick. You never know what you're going to get.
Moving forward from there, I think the most notable thing of the last 4 picks is Shalom Luena. I believe that's how you say his name. Shalom. I think he was the guy. Luani? He was the guy who beat his dog. There was a video of him beating his dog. A lot was made when Michael Vick did it. A lot of people were pissed off that people cared more about a dog being beat than maybe see the Ray Rice video. What were your thoughts on that? Did you like the Raiders picking this guy up? Is this guy going to taint the image of the good old boys now that we got in the locker room? What do you think?
I don't know, man. 7th round picks. I mean, these guys, it's real iffy whether they end up making the team or not.
He was
So, I mean, what do we have? 3 7s?
4 7s.
So we had him and then the 4 7s. Okay. So, I don't know. I think it's a depth thing, if anything. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's probably going to be a special teamer at best, so I don't know. I don't think that there's anything major there. It's a little surprising that, the guy, seemingly for as good a character as we have on this football team, that there is a handful of these guys that, or at least a couple, that have these kind of character issues or character concerns. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, like I've said before, it doesn't matter if it's a diluted sample or if it's, whatever else. We've all done dumb things, some dumber than others. But, we all love a redemption story. And I hope that these are opportunities for these young men to redeem themselves and to realize the rights of their wrongs and to fix it going forward and enjoy long, healthy careers in the NFL where they can make the kind of money that can provide for them and their families for generations to come. That's the Pollyanna side of it all. So, but we'll see. 7th round pick. Yeah. I don't know. Good luck.
What I was excited about was Elijah Hood. I don't know if you watched any video of him running. Again, I didn't watch any North Carolina games during the season, but he looks like a good running back. I like that guy.
Yeah. And you wanted a big dude. And I think I liked it in the fact that, you get a running back this late, again, who knows what you're going to get. You certainly don't expect him to be an impact player from day one. But when you got a guy like that where all he's going to need to do is be Zach Crockett. Just, you know what I mean? Like he's the kind of runner. He doesn't even need to be it right away. That he plays behind one of the greatest power backs, Marshawn Lynch, for a couple of years. Gets his feet under him, no pun intended. And who knows? He ends up being your guy that when you got a third and short or you got a first and goal from the one, that's the kind of guy you give the ball to. So I kind of like that pick. That was a fun one. When I saw his saw his size and then watched a little bit of his cut up there of his film, I'm like, oh, this guy's pretty cool. And like he idolized Marshawn growing up. Like that's like this is a perfect fit, right? So yeah, I'm kind of excited about that one.
I liked him a lot. For more
as excited as you can get about a 7th round pick, that is. Exactly.
Perspective. For more in-depth draft coverage, go to Raiders.com. Black Hole Banter had a good podcast this week about it. Just Blog Baby had a great podcast this week about it, and they went pretty in depth. But it's a week out, so we're not gonna spend too much time on it. Overall, I mean, time will tell, right? Like everybody can say, "Oh yeah, great, this guy looks amazing. Raiders had a great draft." Well, let's do 3 years from now. Let's do 3 years from now. And so that's what we're gonna do actually right now. What I did this morning while Murph was sleeping and not doing anything, I compiled a list.
Or working to provide for my family, one or the other.
I get more done in 4 days than you do in 5 days. That's how I roll. So here we go. So I had the day off on Fridays. So what I did is I took a couple hours. I went back all the way to 2012. And I wrote down every draft pick from 2012 on up. So 13, 14, 15, and 16. And then I made 3 columns, Murph. I made a depth chart column regarding are they currently on the depth chart right now. I think, Just Lads does a really good up-to-date depth chart, Our Lads or something like that, of all sports teams. I wrote out another column, which was serviceable. I mean, you can debate on this if you'd like. And this is like, did they play? Were they serviceable to the Raiders at one point in their career? And then the third column was impact. Are they an impact player? Because Reggie always talks about wanting impact players. And so I said, was this guy an impact player or not? On top of that, since 2012, excluding 2017, let me just put that out there. We did not include 2017 in this. From 2012 to 2016, Reggie had 41 draft picks. I also included the percentage of those 41 draft picks that are currently on today's roster, as well as the percentage of those draft picks that were serviceable, as well as the percentage of those draft picks that were impactful. Also, just for comparison's sake, the Minnesota Vikings have been touted as one of the better teams of the last 5 years in the draft. So I did the exact same thing for the Vikings, and we'll compare and contrast, so that way it kind of gives you an idea of where the Raiders fall when it comes to this. That makes sense, Murph?
Dang, you did some homework,
I'm telling
man.
you,
Yeah,
bro.
that's fantastic.
I woke up and went to work. I like having Fridays off. Anyway, so here's what we'll start in 2012. Can you name me one player that was drafted in 2012 off the top of your head?
Miles Burris,
4th round pick out of San Diego State, not on the depth chart. So here's the list from 2012.
I only remember him from Madden because he was a killer Madden linebacker.
As I'm going through this, I'm like, dude, it's so easy to do this in Madden. Like, you just know off the top of your head who plays where. Tony Bergstrom, always cut him in Madden. Miles Burris, Jack Crawford in the 5th round, Jerron Kreiner, remember that pick? Christo Bilukidi, and Nate Stuper. Of all there were 6 draft picks. And remember, this is the year we didn't have a first round, right? Because the freaking fabulous Hugh Jackson. We didn't even have a second rounder. We picked in the 3rd round, 4th. This was the bad years.
And this was the 2nd year in a row too, because in 2011 we didn't have any picks then either. Thanks, Hugh.
This was the bad times for Reggie. Anyway,
Hey, but we were building a bully. Remember, we were building a bully.
Yeah, sure. That's why he's in Cleveland right now.
It's a bunch of tough guys with no draft
That's
picks.
why Jackson's in Cleveland. Not one of those players currently on the roster. Not one of those players I considered was impact. I considered 2 of those players to be impactful. Serviceable. Which players do you think I got as serviceable?
Well, I got, as to use the term in the game, spades. I got 2 and a P.
Okay.
So my 2 serviceable would be Tony Bergstrom and Miles Burris, and my possible would be Jerron Kreiner.
I didn't put Kreiner as a serviceable because he didn't do enough. Like, he didn't play. Like, I think he was on the team. Like, he I think it was like third down or fourth down or third or fourth depth chart.
Yeah, he was just a big body. Yeah, good hand. Kind of like a lesser version of what Andre Holmes was.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we'll put him down. Now keep in mind, the average span of an NFL player is like 3 years, right? There was really great breakdown done. Unfortunately, it was by a Donkeys writer. But he did it, I think, 2 years ago, showing that, like, 5 years down the road, the percentage of first-round picks still in the league, 5 years down the road, the percentage of second-round draft picks still in the league, and so on and so forth all the way through the 7th round. And then he also did 1 year, 2 year, 3 years out and stuff like that. Really, really kind of fascinating, too. I was going to try to work it in, but it just didn't work. So...
Well, I mean, if you think about the numbers, I mean, you're talking about 253 or however the heck many
25
guys that get drafted every year. There you go. And there's how many players in the league? 1,400, 1,500, whatever the math ends up being. So, I mean, look, you're talking about that kind of turnover every year. Yeah, it doesn't take long before your career to be over in the NFL. I mean, it's, the superstars of this league, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Adrian Peterson. I mean, there's very few of those kind of guys that last that long.
Exactly. All right, so moving on. 2013.
All right, 2013. Here we go, Reg.
First pick.
His first full
This
draft.
is your first full draft. First pick was DJ Hayden, which everybody kind of hates on him for. Then you got Melnick Watson in the second, C.O. Moore in the third, Tyler Wilson, who we thought was going to be something. Remember, we all were high on Tyler Wilson.
Yeah, because he had a 98 throw power in Madden. That was it.
Nick Casa, tight end. Latavius Murray, Michael Riviera, Stacey McGee, Bryce Butler, and David Bass. None of those players are currently on the depth chart. Serviceable.
Nope.
I had 1, 2, 3, 4. I had a lot. I had 3, 4, 5. I had 7 serviceable players out of that draft, and I had 1 impact and 1 at-time impact. Here's who I had as.
Okay.
Who do you think was serviceable? I know it's kind of hard because you're just kind of hearing them going off memory.
No, that's all right. I like it. Okay. Hayden was became serviceable. Yep. He wasn't in the beginning, but he became serviceable. C.O. Moore at the time was serviceable. He played. All right. Murray would be impact. I would have put him in the impact.
That's the
column.
one guy I had as impactful and serviceable as well.
Rivera. Okay. Yeah. And then Rivera, I would have put as serviceable.
Yep, did that too.
McGee, I would have put as serviceable. Yep. And Butler, I would have put as serviceable.
I also, I put Melnick to a certain degree as serviceable because he played, didn't he?
I mean, yeah, but he was hurt, so it's hard to.
Yeah,
You never want to evaluate players who get hurt. And that goes both ways. I don't ever want to judge them for not being playmakers, but you also can't say, well, yeah, this guy had potential. But yeah, if you're hurt, then if you're Greg Oden, you're not playing. So you know what I mean? Yeah, you can have all the potential in the world, but if you're not on the court, then we can't evaluate. So it's the same way I feel about Watson. And you could say, well, he never had the opportunity or whatever. But wasn't he the guy that was from England? He was from England, right? And he didn't play a lot, and growing up, he never played football, and he played for a year or two. And it was another one of those ones where Reggie took a chance on guys. I mean, he just seems to do that an awful lot.
Kingdom and stuff. And really, I don't give a flying crap about him no more because he's on the Broncos. So we've already spent enough time talking about him. So Latavius Murray, impactful.
I was going to ask you. Well, hold on real quick. I was going to ask you, did you keep up with? I know you're saying these guys that aren't on the Raiders roster, but are you keeping track of whether these guys are in the league? Period.
Nah, I didn't do. I mean, I did as I was going through it. A lot of them, few of them are playing. Most because playing somewhere else. But then
Butler, we traded. Yeah, we traded him to the Cowboys, so I know he's still in the league, and I know McGee just signed a free agent contract,
playing,
so I know he's still in the league. But
and
Rivera, did he sign?
I'm not sure. And some of them are playing in Canada.
I don't know
some
either.
Of them playing in Canada. What would be interesting, and will even be more of a research project, is to find out. All right, we spent a second on Melnick, or we spent a 6th on Murray. Did we trade him? Did we get anything for him? Obviously we let Murray walk, but of the other guys. Did we get anything from that pick, or whatever? But
yeah, what did we get for Bryce Butler, and does that counter? I see what you're saying. What is the overall value for the total amount of Reggie moves? And this is a Madden exercise too, it's the economics of it. Yeah. We when we used to play a lot of Madden, we talked a lot about the economics of players. because whether it's there's not just the dollar value, but there's the draft value, and then there's the on-field value. So you have to weigh all three of those things to determine what the overall value of whether you're progressing your team or not. Whether it even, and I know it's just a video game, but when you play Madden and you have to manage your roster year over year over time, you still have to equate for that value and build constant value in your team in order for them to be better. It's the same exact thing. This is just the real life version, is that what is the actual value? Has Reggie built value? Obviously the answer is yes. This team is way better than it was in 2012.
Hold on,
when he
you're
took
getting
over.
ahead. You're getting ahead.
All right, I'm sorry. I'll shut up.
There's another article.
So 2013.
Okay.
All right.
For 2013, he had 10 draft picks. None of them are currently on the depth chart. Obviously, a couple of them were on the depth chart until the season ended. I think, Stacey McGee was there, Riviera was there, Murray was there, and DJ was there. And
Hayden was there,
yeah.
Yep.
And so, obviously they stayed for a while. Okay, 2014. This is obviously the year, right? This is the year. Things shifted. We had 8 draft picks. Right off the bat, Khalil Mack in the first round, Derek Carr second round, Gabe Jackson third round. No need to go further. No, just kidding. Those top 3 picks, I mean, that's gold right there, right? Gabe Jackson was one of the best guards in the league. There was only 2 guards in the whole entire league last year that did not give up a sack. Gabe Jackson was one of them. Do you know the other one?
Kalichi Osamele.
Correct. And Gabe Jackson was not a Pro Bowler, which is beyond me. After Gabe Jackson is Justin Ellis. After him was Keith McGill, T.J. Carey, Shelby Harris, and Jonathan Dowling. Of those 8 draft picks, who do you think is on the depth chart currently? Can you name them all?
Well, Mack, Carr, Jackson, Ellis, Carey. McGill's not there anymore, so 5 of those guys. And I think this is key too, because not only did we had impact players, serviceable players, and then guys not there, right? Or guys that whatever. Not only did he draft 2 impact players, but in the same draft, he drafted the most important positions on the football field, and he drafted Hall of Famers in both.
Keith McGill is on the roster, by the way.
Oh, he is. Okay, well, there's 6.
Backup strong safety.
So by the time we get done with this, people look back at the Steelers. I forget what draft it was in 69 or 70 or whenever it was when they drafted all their Hall of Famers. Or you look at, the Cowboys when they fleeced the Vikings, when the Herschel Walker trade and they drafted their Super Bowl teams. And there's handfuls of teams that get evaluated as far as the drafts that turn franchises around, the greatest of all time. I think by the time it's all said and done, this could be one of them, because especially if they go on and they win a couple of championships, you're talking about Defensive Player of the Year, potential MVP, you talk face of the league kind of guys here. These are once in a lifetime, not over dramatizing it, literally once in a lifetime players, and he got 2 of them. That's bananas. Not only did you get your franchise quarterback, he's really good. And not only did you get your premier pass rusher, he's really he's the top. It's like him and Von Miller and everybody else. And now obviously there's guys like Tom Brady and they have a better pedigree than Derek Carr, but of the young QBs, it's like him and Cam and, kind of everybody else. There's just a super short list. So this is one. Not only did he knock it out of the park, man, he knocked it out of the dang state. This draft alone, those 2 players, earns him all of the credibility in the world.
Let me pause you, let me pause you. There's a lot of people who say the exact opposite. They say Reggie gets a slide because this draft fell into his lap. He did so well with it. He could mess up every other draft and he'll still get credit for the 2014 draft. Which if you ask me, I'm glad you hit on Mack. I'm glad you hit on Carr. Obviously Gabe Jackson as well. But that shouldn't give you free pass for years to come. Yes, it was landmark. Yes, it was franchise changing, if you will. It set the tone for the years to come. And if they go on to win championships, everybody will look back at the 2014 draft. They'll obviously compare it to the 68 draft for the Raiders as far as maybe best all time, depending on how Mack and Carr proceed. Obviously, they're trending upwards, so time will tell. But should he get a free pass just because of one draft? And that's what the Reggie haters are saying.
Well, I don't think that he gets a free pass for the rest of his career. Certainly not. But then I think that if he strings together a couple of stinkers, or then certainly he'll be feeling it and be in the hot seat. But I think what it did was that it got him enough cushion to where he doesn't have to knock him out of the park anymore. He can have decent
we need
drafts,
serviceable guys now.
which is what I think that he's had since then.
Okay, so let's move forward.
He's got this. All right, so he's got the monster resume in 2014, and then we go into
2014, obvious. 6 of the 8 guys drafted are serviceable. I have 3 impact players out of that draft: Matt, Carr, and Jackson. I don't think Ellis and McGill and Carey are impact players. Maybe they'll get their shot this year a little bit more. I mean, Carey might get his shot because you're more. So we'll see what happens.
I think one of them could be, though. I think they could be. I think Ellis could be. I don't know about Carey, especially if he gets buried on the depth chart with Conley coming in. But Ellis, I think Ellis could end up being one of those guys that's an impact player.
As of right now, Ellis is the number 1 nose tackle on the depth chart.
There you go. So he's got a shot.
Yeah,
he's got a
we'll
shot.
See. And Travis Carey, not TJ, Travis Carey is listed as the second right outside cornerback. All right, 2015. Again, we're picking high. That's the other thing, too, is with 2013, 14, and 15, we had some high draft picks, right? We were up there a little bit better. So in 2015, we had 10 draft picks. It's interesting to note, ever since Reggie's been here, including except for 2016, he's had at least 7 or more draft picks, which is good. He likes his draft picks. 2015, Mari Cooper. Number 2, Mario Edwards. Number 3, Clive Wolford. Number 4, John Feliciano. Number 5, Ben Heaney. Also in the 5th was Nerion Bell. Number 6 was Max Vallis, I think. Number 7, Anthony Morris, Andre DeBose, and Dexter McDonald, also on the 7th. Of those 10, who are still on the depth chart? Can you name them all? Or maybe,
I'll take a run at it.
Who's not? I can say
Cooper,
yeah.
Yeah, well, the group of the first guys are Cooper is, Edwards is, Wolford is, Feliciano is, Heaney is, Ball is.
Yep.
I don't think the bottom 4 are. So that would be Max Vallis. McDonald still is.
Vallis is gone, Morris is gone, DeBose is gone.
This is a funky draft. This one is funky because I think that I'm really glad that he went with Cooper. I'm not the only one, right? I think most of us are incredibly pleased that we got the dynamic playmaker that we got in Amari Cooper with that pick. Mario Edwards, as I just said a minute ago, you can't judge a player by his injury, but he's got to be on the field, and if he's injured all the time, then you can't evaluate him. So I think this is Mario's year to get on the field healthy and show us what he's got.
He looks skinnier. I think he did a backflip on the field. There's a video of him doing a backflip. He looks agile. So is this the year he breaks out?
I hope so, man. If he does, look the F out, rest of the NFL. Because, I mean, holy cow, are we going to have a pass rush? Like, if this dude, if we get any kind of a push in the middle with Ellis and Eddie does eat everything, oh my gosh, man. I mean, can you imagine what Irvin and Mack and Edwards and Calhoun and all the rest of these guys are going to play out on the edges, what they're going to do? I mean, it's going to be stupid, the amount of pass rush we're going to get.
Nasty.
It's going to be nasty. So, hopefully, yeah. So
then you got Wolford at tight end.
With Edwards. All right, now Wolford, here, and this is why I said this is really out to lunch on this draft. And I know we got Jared Cook because we needed a pass-catching tight end. And I think that obviously Cook is going to be a dynamic playmaker. I think so more than you, that he's going to be awesome. I can't wait to watch him.
I'm excited to use him in now. That's about it.
I'm going to have the Raiders this year. Yeah, we'll it's my year to have him. We'll see. But I'm really, really excited about watching Cook because I think he's going to be dynamic, and I think he gives Carr a target that Carr's not had to this point in his career, and that's going to be cool. So in regards to how Wolford is being the second, and now Lee Smith is going to be back, so Smith will be in there for all those blocking plays instead of bringing in our 6th offensive lineman, who was that, Denver Kirkland, whoever that was they were doing that with. Instead of doing that, they're going to bring in Smith for that. So the amount of snaps may not be there for Walford that they have been. But when you look at this guy's pedigree and where he came from the school that had produced some of the most dynamic tight ends in the history of college football and in the NFL. So being that he's from the U and he's the leading tight end in the University of Miami history, like, come on now, like this, he's got to have something in there somewhere that just hasn't emerged yet. I'm hoping against hope that that's what the case is. Now we'll see as this year goes on, and does he take advantage of those snaps now that he's not going to get as many as he was? You know, we'll see, because Rivera's gone, right? Mm-hmm. So now it's going to be Smith, Cook, and now Walford. And so we'll see. Let's say this. If he does emerge as that kind of a playmaker that we think he could be, now we got our Twin Towers, right? Now you
Aaron
think to
Hernandez,
how the Patriots
Gronk,
to go with the Hernandez and Gronk or Bennett. I know Gronk got hurt this last year, but Bennett and Gronk, right? Now we got our guys. Now we got Walford and Cook.
I would say it's Cook and Clive.
It's legit.
It's a clothing line. Clive and Cook. It's it's new.
There you go.
New
I like
fashion
it.
state.
CNC, baby.
Okay, so
that's smooth, man.
So out of the 2015 draft, Amari Cooper is our impact player. You got 6 guys. Actually, you got 7 guys who are still on the roster. I had 6 guys that are serviceable. I had Cooper, Edwards, Walford, Feliciano, Heaney, and Nerion Bell. Even though Nerion Bell and Edwards have struggled with injuries, we'll see what happens with that.
All these guys have.
I know.
Isn't that crazy? When you look at Edwards and you look at Heaney and you look at Bell, I'm like, man, if these guys could get healthy, then we'd actually be able to evaluate them appropriately and be able to see what we have. And I got to think that that's why they're sticking around. You know, C.O. Moore had a quick exit out of Oakland, and that's after he kind of played well. You know, now here we got a guy guys like Heaney and Ball who are still there. And they, you know what I mean? So we'll see. We'll see. This linebacker thing.
Moving on.
As much as I just pray.
We're not going to dwell on it. Calm down. We'll get to it. 2016. 2016 draft. Carl Joseph, first round. Jihad Ward. Shalik Calhoun, Connor Cook, DeAndre Washington was a 5th round pick. I find that fascinating. Corey James and Vidal Alexander. All 7 of those picks are on the depth chart. All 7 of those guys, I believe, are serviceable. Only 2 of them, I believe, are impact players. I'm sure you can guess who that is, which is
Washington and Joseph is who I think that you're going to pick. But I don't know if I don't put Washington up.
You don't think he's impactful?
I don't put him as. No,
I think he's tremendously impactful.
No, he's not. He's complimentary.
No.
And that's when
I think impact, I think break a game open, long runs, have to be accounted for on the field. And he had several runs last year that were long distance, and he had to, eventually towards the end of the season, you had to know where that guy was in the field at all times.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the greatest hands in the world. You know what I mean?
I was a runner.
Yeah, I don't agree. I think that he and Richard together are impactful, but I think if you consider them as a package, yes, but I think you may be, misremembering a little bit and thinking back to the kind of plays that were being made out of the backfield last year with Washington. Well, a lot of those were Richard too.
No, I know they were.
You know what I mean?
But look, he averages 5 yards a carry. 5 yards a carry. That's impactful.
Yeah, but when you carry the ball 4 times,
87 attempts for almost 500 yards. I think he's impactful. We can call it a push. We can call it a push. I think.
Yeah, I don't know if I put him there yet, and I think that, and honestly, he's going to get nudged out. I mean, the amount of carries are going to become less and less for him, and I think ultimately, eventually, I should say, him or Richard, one of them is going to move on. And I like Richard better. I think Richard has got better hands. I think he's a tougher runner. I like Richard better as that complementary, that Deontay, Freeman type player. I like him better, but that's just my opinion.
Richard,
I host a
averaged
podcast on weekends.
He averaged 5.9 yards a carry. Washington averaged 5.4 yards a carry. Richard was targeted a lot more out of the backfield as far as catching.
He had a 74%, 74.5 catch percentage. Washington had a 73.9 catch percentage. So, it's splitting hairs at this point with them. We'll see what happens when they make the most of it now, because Lynch will be carrying the rock the most of the time. So we'll see what happens there.
Absolutely, yeah, and he will. And Lynch has got killer hands like that.
But Lynch is 31. They're not going to be throwing to him very often, I don't think. I think they're going to be using him primarily as a running back, and that's it.
I disagree. I disagree entirely. I think that on third and short, everybody's going to be keen on the run, and instead you leak him out and Carr swings it over to him. Heck no, dude. I think that they're gonna do that a lot. How many times do we see Latavius Murray drop that exact pass that I just described?
Oh yeah,
a lot.
I remember that.
You know what I mean? And that's the kind of stuff that they're going to do with Lynch. And guess what? He's not going to drop it, and he's going to be able to knock somebody on their ass for a 5-yard gain like that. No,
he averages in the 30s for his catches, 37 in 2014, 36 2013, 23, 12, 28 in 2011.
And he don't drop them, and he doesn't drop them.
He has
he's got good hands.
His high was 84%, a low 61%, and that was in 2015 actually. So we can get into Lynch.
Yeah, they probably
get into Lynch
he
later.
Was hurt, so I mean they probably threw him 3 passes and he dropped one of them. You know what I mean?
They threw him 21 times. He only caught 13. I'm on the fence about Lynch. We'll save that for down the road. The jury's still out on Lynch for sure. All right, so there's your 5 drafts: 2012, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Right? Nobody on the depth chart from 2012. Everybody on the depth chart from 2016, and then you got kind of a mix and match from 2013 and 2015. Now, of the 41 players that we mentioned that were drafted by McKenzie, how many of them do you think are still on the depth chart?
Since you have all the guys, there's at least 7 from last year, and what did we say? Almost all of them. I'm going to guess, I'm going to say 18.
Close guess, 19. For 46% of the players that Reggie's drafted are still on the depth chart. How many do you think have been serviceable of the 41 players?
Serviceable of the total of 41. Well, it's at least that plus a handful of others. At least the 8. You said 19?
19.
How many? 19. So the 19 plus a handful of others, I'm going to say 25 were serviceable.
28. And then, again, this is subjective. The depth chart's, objective. What we think is serviceable is subjective. So I had 28 for a 68%. As far as players drafted were serviceable to the Raiders. And impact players, I had 7 impact players listed. That was Carl Joseph, DeAndre Washington, Amari Cooper, Mack, Carr, Jackson, and then Latavius Murray for the 7, which is a 17% chance that a player Reggie drafts is impactful. So that's roughly 1 out of 5. 1 out of every 6 players he drafts is going to have an impact on the team. Now, how does that compare?
That's not that good.
Well,
I was going to say, is that good? Because
how do you
I'm
know
just thinking,
that? If these are isolated numbers, how do you know that? So what I did is I compared it to the Minnesota Vikings, and I'll tell you why the Vikings in a second. The Vikings, obviously because I don't follow the Vikings as close as I follow the Raiders, it's kind of hard for me to say whether they're serviceable or impactful or not. So the only thing I did on the Vikings is I compared how many players on the Vikings are still on their roster of the players they drafted. So from 2012 to 2016, the Vikings drafted 47 players. They had 6 more picks than Reggie, and 26 are still on the roster, and that's a 55% retention rate throughout the years. Now, impact players, I don't know. We could go down the list. Anthony Barr, impact player for sure, middle linebacker.
Yeah.
Bridgewater, would you say he's an impact player?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, another guy that got hurt, but when he's not hurt, yeah, he was definitely good. Heck, I think it cost him a shot at the NFC Championship.
Who's that running back they got? Jerick McKinnon?
Jerick McKinnon, I'd call him an impact player. Absolutely.
Sharif Floyd?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. What about the white safety, number 22? What's his name?
I got him here.
Harrison Smith. I would call him an impact player.
So that's what, 5 or 6, Who else have they got in here? They got Trey Waynes, this cornerback, Eric Kendricks.
Yep.
Daniel Hunter.
I was just going to say Trey
These are the
Waynes.
guys in 2015. They got Stephon Diggs. Isn't he pretty good? I'm not sure. So they got a handful as well. And again, it's kind of hard to tell. We would need a lot more time to kind of go over this. Obviously, Cordell Patterson from the 2013 draft. We got him. Xavier Rhodes is one of their stud cornerbacks. So they probably got, I would say, maybe 10 at the highest.
Yeah, and I would call Patterson an impact player, not even necessarily what he does offensively, but you talk about a guy that can return. There's a reason that we signed him. Like, it's not because we need a fourth wide receiver. It's because we need somebody to instead of just us, sticking one of the short running backs out there and hoping for a good fair catch. Now we got somebody that can catch the ball and hopefully make a play. So that's impact.
So
right?
here's where this is going to lead. So in the past 5 years, not including 2017, because the jury's still out, Reggie McKenzie, on average, retains about 46% of the players he drafts still play on the team. 68% of those players are serviceable, and 70% of those players are impact players. It's obvious the nation has seen a turn in as far as the Raiders' on-the-field performance and also what people are writing about the Raiders these days. The Raiders right now, Murph, I don't know if you've seen it, the odds of winning the Super Bowl, I think, were 12-1. The only team better was the Patriots, were 7-1. So it's the Raiders and the Packers and the Seahawks. We're in the mix, right? We're in the mix. I found an interesting article. Let's see. Where was it at here? So one was written in 2015, and another one was written in 2017. The 2015 article listed who was the best team at finding players in the NFL draft. The number one team was the Seahawks. This is the article written in 2015. What do you think the Raiders were ranked back in 2015?
Oh, sheesh. Well, in 2015?
2015. Now remember, this is 1 year after Carr. They hadn't come out yet. They hadn't had that hey, we're here. So where do you think they're ranked?
Oh, this is okay. So this is written after the season, or
this is written
2015.
This is written. I'll tell you exactly when it's written. This is written April 25th, 2015, before the 2015 season.
So this is before the 2015 season. So this is back when
after the rookie year of Carr and Mack.
The 0-10, 10 losses straight, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna guess they weren't at last, but I'm gonna say probably 28th.
31.
Oh, my gosh.
They were ranked 31.
Who was worse, Cleveland?
Jacksonville.
Oh, well, okay. Same.
All the same.
Cleveland South.
So what they did is they looked back. I want to say they went all the way back to 2010. This is interesting, actually. So here's the criteria. How many games the picks played, Pro Bowl appearances, first team All-Pro selections, and awards won. They also factored in how much the teams won during that period. And I think it was 2010 up through 2015 or something like that. So what they said about the Raiders back in 2015, the Raiders had no first-round pick in 2011 and 2012. Last year's draft looks promising with Mack and Carr and a few other long-term starters. The best pick from this time period was C.O. Moore in 2013. Right? They're saying, after watching the rookie year of Mack and Carr, that the best pick in the last 5 years at that time was C.O. Moore, and the worst pick was Rolando McClain back in 2010, right? So, again, this is an article in the New York Post in April of 2015. Let me take you to an article written on April 26th in 2017, again, looking back 5 years and ranking the best teams in the draft. Here's the formula they went with. Teams scored 5 points for every Pro Bowler, right? 3 points for a player that was on the 2016 roster as a starter, and 1 point for every 2016 player that was basically on the roster. Okay? You with me?
I'm with you.
Who was dead last?
Cleveland.
Nope, the Saints. Why is everybody knock on Cleveland, man? Cleveland's okay.
Because they suck.
Cleveland's okay. The Saints, dead last. Where do you think the Raiders were?
Oh, they've got to be in the top 10 at that
Number
point.
sixth. Number 6.
Okay.
They were number 6. They had a total of 69 points. The Rams were at 5 with 73 points. Cowboys, 74 points. Packers at 75. Kansas City at 80.
The Rams were that high?
Kansas City, they have look
the
at their team. Raiders number 6. Kansas City had 83 points.
Isn't that amazing? That no wonder Jeff Fisher got fired,
Yes.
and he probably should have been fired a long time
Yes.
before. They got so much damn talent on that
Yes.
football team, and then
And
No
the
kidding.
Vikings were number 1 as far as the team that's done the best in the draft in the last 5 years. That's why I
that's why
compared
you
it.
picked them.
They've had 7 Pro Bowlers.
Well done.
They've had 7 Pro Bowlers.
Nicely
Matt
done.
Khalil, Harrison Smith, Blair Walsh, Xavier Rhodes, Cordell Patterson, Bridgewater, and Anthony Barr.
Okay.
Now, here's an
done.
interesting stat. The average points per pick, so by looking at like 5 points per Pro Bowlers, 3 points for a starter, 1 point for a roster, the Vikings were at 1.8. The Raiders at number 6 were at 1.7. The main difference is the Vikings have had, I believe, 47 picks, and the Raiders had 41 picks. So you give the Raiders more picks, they might even be higher. But the two.
So if Reggie would have actually had a first and second
Yes.
rounder in 2012,
How much better would they already be, right? And so all of this to say, this is a long way of stating this. Reggie knows more than you do. I'm going to trust McKenzie.
not much.
I'm going to trust McKenzie because of a couple
Yeah, I
different
hear
things.
you.
Number one, it's his job to do this. But number two, numbers don't lie. Stats don't lie. We could say, yeah, it was all because of that draft, but it really wasn't. It was 3 drafts in a row. The Pro Bowlers for the Raiders from from McKenzie's era have been Mack, Carr, Murray, and Cooper. That spans 4 drafts. That's 2013, 2014, 2015, right? And when we get Cooper, 2 years ago?
Yes.
It spans 3 drafts, right? And so, McKenzie is not just one draft. We've done a lot of stuff. And the summary obviously states 2014 was a turning point. NFL defensive MVP Mack, Carr the second, and Gabe Jackson in the third. So, but all this to say again, Reggie's building the team. The team is solid. We're not just drafting crazies and they're blowing up in our face anymore. They're serviceable. They stay on the team. And we're drafting some impact players here and there, which is really what any team can hope for, right? Not every player is going to be an impact player. But the Rams, they've only had 2 Pro Bowlers. We've had 4. So, Cowboys have had 4 Pro Bowlers. Packers have had 3. So we've actually had more Pro Bowlers than some of these teams, that are supposed to be, high and mighty and stuff. So again, yeah, no one's perfect. But to bash Reggie, to say he's not a good GM, to call him out on his draft, to say he got lucky, I don't know, man. We can't do that no more. You got to look at the history. And these 2 articles, 2 years apart, again, show what the mass media and what the world now looks at the Raiders. The Raiders were the laughingstock forever, and now they're not. And it's because of smart draft picks, of changing the culture in the locker room, and we're going to see that translation into wins on the field. And if Carr doesn't go down again, where does this last year end up for the Raiders, right? So, all that said,
You want to hear
draft break.
You want to hear a really fun little stat that
Go
to
ahead.
tag on to all this amazing work that you've done on this? So in 2012, to further your point of if Reggie would have had more picks, it might have elevated their overall score and put them higher than number 6. In 2012, the year where he didn't have a first and second pick, the Raiders would have picked, I think, 15th in that draft. And guess who was taken in the 15th spot of the 2012 draft?
I don't even know. Couldn't tell you.
Bruce Irvin. Reggie's making up for lost time, Bubby.
There you go. There you
How about
go.
that?
There you go. Nice.
How about that?
That's some instant research.
Now,
right
you know
there.
what? And you know what's interesting is that if you look at the players, that was the year that Luck and
That might
Griffin
have
were
been a
taken
guy
at
Reggie
the
would
top.
have went after, too.
It might have. So would have been Trent Richardson. But also in that draft, Luke Kuechly, Dontari Poe, Michael Floyd, the aforementioned already Bruce Irvin, some monster players taken in the first 15 that year. So interesting. Very interesting. Excellent work, man. That's some good stuff, Sonny. That's some good stuff. We don't get in the weeds on numbers very often, but that was fun. That was some good analysis there, man.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
Kudos.
It was good stuff. Anyway, let's move forward. We don't got much time. We'd like to keep these things to an hour. Del Rio, we're going to skip over the 100-player list. Del Rio recently stated what? He stated that we have not adequately addressed the middle linebacker position. I think that was a statement to shut the fans up.
Sorry. I mean, no duh.
I think that was purely a statement to stop the fans from going crazy. Do you think it was anything more than that, or do you think he was speaking truth?
I think he was speaking truth, man. Yes, absolutely. I think he was speaking truth. He's a freaking middle linebacker, and so is his boss. And that's the part that I can't wrap my brain around, is that it's not like these guys don't know the importance of inside linebackers. Like, it's insane to me that they don't put more value, or at least Reggie doesn't put more value on that position. To me, it's one of the key positions on defense. We've talked about it ad nauseum on this show about the importance of whether it's Singletary or Dick Butkus or Patrick Willis or Ray Lewis or Luke Kuechly, you look at the importance of having a rock star middle linebacker. It absolutely changes the complexion and the personality and everything on your defense. And the fact that he's not willing to invest a high round draft pick in it, I don't get it. I mean, and I understand, try to find value late, and I get all that. But look, dude, 6 times? Like, eventually we gotta, look, Perry Riley is not going to be the answer here. Eventually, you gotta escalate your importance and your sense of urgency when it comes to getting that spot filled. And so, yeah, I think Jack, was it lip service? Was it a little bit of fan service? I don't know, maybe. But I think that there's truth to it. So whether he did it for our benefit or that was his way of sending Reggie a message or whatever it was, I don't know. But at the end of the day, it's true. So what are we going to do about it? And he further on says that, we're going to look at the waiver wire and we're going to look at, other, trade. I think he even said something about trade possibilities. Look, and if that's the case, if there's a bigger picture in play, and there probably is, because we don't, work inside the building in Alameda, and we don't know everything that's going through Reggie's head, I've got to assume that he's got a bigger plan and a greater goal in hand. I hope that's the case, because if it's not, then this is a glaring omission. Like, what is the problem? Like, come on now. It's a big deal. It's a big need. Like, we don't need a 4th friggin' safety. Okay? We don't need a 3rd or 4th cornerback. We need a gosh darn middle linebacker. Come on now.
It's a difficult one. I'm gonna trust the program. I'm gonna trust the situation. And what if this? What if the guy that they're looking for just hasn't been there in the draft? Would you rather them take 3 misses on a linebacker and then miss out on other players just to satisfy your desire for them?
Oh, what? Like miss out on DJ Hayden? Like miss out on other players that he freaking reaches on? Like, that's what I'm saying. It's not like Reggie doesn't reach anyways. So, no, I don't buy into that.
I don't know if he reaches. I think he takes. He
doesn't reach. Connor Cook, he reaches all the time.
Connor Cook was a 4th round pick. Come on, that wasn't a reach.
3rd. He was a
That's
3rd,
not a
dude.
reach. Connor Cook can throw the ball. Did better than
you got a slam dunk franchise quarterback and you drafted quarterback in the 3rd round.
Ginger.
Come on.
Anyway, we can disagree about that. I think Del Rio was saying that more than
my point is here's my point is that you don't reach for depth when you have needs at starting positions. That's the part that I don't get. And look, I know I'm not Reggie McKenzie. I know I'm not a GM in the NFL, but I know enough about the sport to be able to apply critical thinking and realize that there are 22 starting positions on offense and defense, and when you have a glaring deficiency at one of those spots, you invest a high-level draft pick in order to get a starter to play in that position instead of a guy that's going to be 3rd or 4th on the friggin' depth chart. That to me, this isn't rocket science. I mean, you don't have to be a high-paid GM on an NFL football team to understand the importance of that particular position on a defense, especially when you played the freaking position, and so did your head coach. Come on, man. Are they just so arrogant that they think you're going to take a 5th rounder and coach him up? Like, give me a break, man. They got to do something. Or what?
Or
Talk me off the cliff, because I'm back on it again. I was off
Get
the
on,
cliff
come
last
on.
weekend. Now I'm back on the dang cliff. My toes are creeping over the edge, Sonny. They're creeping
what's
over
that
the
one
edge.
song? Step back from that ledge, my friend. Whatever that gay song was. Sorry, nothing wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
What was I saying? Okay. What if they realize the importance? What if they realize the importance of middle linebacker and they don't want to put a rookie starting there, and they'd rather maybe get somebody off the waiver wire or pick up somebody that has veteran experience and put him in that slot, and then
it would have been done already.
maybe they've
Then it would have
tried
been
it.
done already.
How do you know what they've tried? Maybe they've tried getting guys through trades or whatever to the waiver wire. It just hasn't been done yet. I'm not going to sit here and say I don't think we can say it's a blind spot and they've neglected to make effort to do it. I just think we haven't seen the effort. We haven't seen it pay off yet. And we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. Obviously, they're not stupid. They both play middle linebacker. They both are going to place an importance on middle linebacker. So I'm not saying they haven't tried yet, but also at the same time, when Wrench took over the roster, pick your poison, right? The whole roster was a mess. So who's to say?
Yeah,
who's
but
to
now
say
he's had
what
6
position
shots
was
at
more important than the other position. I don't know.
There wasn't, but now he's had 6 shots at the. I want you to think back, Sonny. I want you to think back to when you were a single man, okay? Prior to meeting your lovely wife, who you clearly outkicked your coverage, by the way.
That's a
and
dark
married
place.
up.
I don't want to have to get sent back to. I'm gonna write you a letter.
All right. I want you to think back to that. You're saying, all right. Now, say you meet a girl. You're out at a club, you're out at a function, you're out at whatever, and you meet a girl and you ask her for a number, okay? And you exchange phone numbers and you call her, and then she doesn't call you back, and you call her again. And
there
she
would
doesn't call
be
you
no
back.
callback.
And eventually, okay, here's my point though. Eventually, you get to a point where you're like, you know what? If you were interested, you'd reach out. At some point, that girl, if she was interested in you, would make some sort of effort to get in touch with you, to make plans with you, to do something instead of just completely ignoring you.
Correct.
Okay? Right now, Reggie ain't calling back. I don't care. You could say that all this stuff may be going on behind the scenes, but there is no interest in filling this position with somebody of any kind of adequacy because he hasn't done anything to do so.
I don't know. I can't make that statement. We don't know. We don't know everything that goes on. So I will reserve.
Yeah, because they were taking visits to Dante. Because Dante Hightower was crawling all over the facility this offseason. The best middle linebacker available. What did they do to make a run at him? Grant, I don't think he was going to leave New England anyways. I think it was just a Hightower tour, and God bless him for it. But okay. See, that's okay. Be dismissive.
I would have rather had who was that other guy?
In the meantime, when Jamal Charles is running up our ass for 200 yards this year because we don't have anybody in the middle to direct traffic,
we're gonna score 70 points a game. It don't matter who's doing what to us. We're gonna score 70 points a game. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Ask Peyton how that works out.
That's all that matters. Dante Hightower got $43 million, $19 million guaranteed. You think Reggie's gonna pay that guy that much money?
No, I don't think at all. I don't think so at all. But my point is, though, you take a visit. You got to do something. He doesn't do anything. He hasn't done anything.
Maybe he has, maybe he hasn't. Who knows? All right, moving forward. Shane Leckler. An article was written on our Twit Friends our website. Will Reeve Jr. owns RaidersWire.com. A guy by the name of Ryan Cavender wrote an article in regards to Janikowski being cut to essentially save money. And he makes the argument of why the Raiders should cut Janikowski. I don't think they should, because at some degree there has to be a sense of loyalty. Raider, right? We drafted him 2002.
Wait a minute.
I don't know, like
loyalty.
We drafted him in
it's the NFL, dude.
We drafted him in 2002. Like he's been a Raider longer than anybody else. Like you can't just cut him. Let him retire as a Raider. I don't care. Pay him freaking $100,000 a year. Let him retire as a Raider. I don't think we should cut him. But you have a different take.
He can come back.
You have a different take.
Yeah, he can come back and retire as a Raider after he finishes out his career in Indianapolis or wherever the heck else he's going to play. Look, there is no loyalty in football. Okay, the loyalty is to the almighty dollar and to the W. That's it. There is loyalty to nothing else. Ask Bill Belichick; he does it better than anybody else. Okay, the idea of loyalty, we'll be loyal to you after you're done playing. you can come on back and you can stand on the sidelines and we'll celebrate you and you can light the torch and we'll run Janikowski highlights on the scoreboard and all kinds of great stuff, and we will celebrate your career as a Raider. But as of right now, his field goal percentage is down. He's really expensive. He's old, and we got the Italian stud Giorgio Trevecchio waiting in the wings to take his spot, much like Marquette King was when we let go of the aforementioned Shane Lechler. So you know what, dude? I'm with you. It's time. We got bigger priorities. As much as I love that big Polish man and his big Polish leg that can kick it a mile, I love Derek Carr more, and I love Khalil Mack more, and I want to see those two guys get signed to big, giant, fat contracts. And if we got to take away a little bit of money from Seabass and let him go finish in Cleveland and have Trevecchio kicking field goals for us instead, so be it. Bye, Seabass. Love you, mean it.
Well, you're a jerk. And secondly,
no, I'm real.
Secondly, jerk, the reason his freaking percentage went down is because he has to kick from 50-plus yards all the damn time on a crappy-ass field off of freaking dirt.
Oh,
and when you look at it,
it was Marquette. Remember when it was Marquette King's fault? He didn't hold it as well.
I'll mute you. When you look at his inside the 50 percentage, he's damn good. He is damn good still under 50. If we stopped asking him to kick from the shield all the time like we do in Madden, then his percentage would be better.
But they can all kick from inside the 50. The reason that you pay him all that money is so he can kick it from the 45 on the other side. That's why you pay him all that money. If we just wanted somebody that could kick him from 30 yards out, we can get anybody to do that. You could go do that.
Seabass and then moving to Vegas.
Ooh. Oh my gosh! Give me a break, man. Get over it. He's a kicker.
I just don't.
At the end of the day, he's a kicker.
Yeah, cause Seabass, bro. That's Seabass. It's Seabass. I don't know. I can see it both ways, though. I wouldn't be surprised if they cut him. I wouldn't like it, but I'm not part of the team, so that's okay.
He gone.
That's okay. All right, Murph. Anything else before we get going? We recently did an interview. It'll be upcoming in a couple days. We did it before the show. We're gonna include it in this show, but we thought the interview was so good and really a super important message. We're gonna have it. We're gonna have it as its own podcast, and I think it'll be episode 27 or something like that. We're going to drop that a few days after this one airs. It's with a guy by the name of Pastor Armando Leon. He actually is the Nation pastor. So he's Raider Nation's pastor, if you will, pastor to the people. Really cool story, really awesome stories of praying with Roger Goodell and witnessing to former Raiders and really cool stuff. So be on the lookout for that. That podcast will drop in a few days. Anything else, Murph?
Thank you for listening to us here on Raiders Fan Radio. Please, please, please rate us, subscribe to us on iTunes. You can check us out on any podcast distributor. Tune in, iHeartRadio we are on now. Of course, iTunes, the Google Play Store. Please check us out, any of those. And again, rate and subscribe if you can. We're going to do another giveaway. We gave away a Rich Gannon jersey last month, and I think we hadn't talked much about it, but we need to do another one. I have a Marcus Allen stitched lettered Marcus Allen jersey that we're going to give away. Maybe we can tie it around the Facebook group, but just please continue to support the show. Thank you to all of our new Instagram followers, all of our new Facebook friends, Twitter, but everybody else. But seriously, thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for all the interaction. We did our first Facebook Live broadcast last week, and the interaction was fantastic. And just the interaction with Raider Nation is really cool. It's one of the things that I love most about our podcast is that, Sonny and I can get on here and be a couple of blowhards and yell at each other about Raider football, but it's really engaging with the entirety of Raider Nation is what to me is the most fun. So thank you again for supporting the show, and please continue to do so by downloading us, rating us, and subscribing to Raiders Fan Radio.
I want to make a shout out to the Facebook groups. We've been really active on Facebook lately. Twitter's kind of dying down. I'm liking the interaction on Facebook a lot more. So love all the groups. Appreciate the interaction. Appreciate the friend requests. And also check out our website. We recently redesigned our website, www.raidersfanradio.com. On there, you can find all of our latest podcasts. We're going to be writing some articles. It's under the caption of commentaries. Recently wrote one regarding Reggie McKenzie and all the players drafted. We'll post lots of pictures on there. There's a couple biographies about me and Murph. And also one thing I wanted to put up there is called Raider Nation Check-In. On the website, it's called RN Check-In. What I'm hoping for is we build this up to have you guys check in from where you're at. Where are you listening from? Where do you live? Where do you represent the Raiders from, right? I know we're not all from Oakland and California and Los Angeles and eventually Las Vegas. Where are you checking in from? And the hope is that we can get all 50 states represented on there. We can get all the continents represented on there, then all the countries. Who knows, right? Let's see how far we can take it. So do us a favor. Stop by RaidersFanRadio.com. Go to the check-in link and then write down where you're checking in from. And it'll just be kind of a fun way to connect with Raider fans all across the world. Again, I'll reiterate what Murph said. Appreciate all the love out there. We love doing the podcast. Love talking to fellow Raiders fans and about the Raiders. And, man, what is it like 5 more months till the season starts? 4 more months. We're close. It's starting. The sun's coming out. That means it's ramping up, Murph. Today was rookie day. And I think moving forward, we're going to try to do a podcast every week. 2 weeks is just too long. We're pent up. We're too angry. And, we need to talk about it more. So, looking for podcasts every week. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you next time.
Fan Radio, Raiders Fan Radio, Raiders Fan Radio, Raiders Fan Radio! Sonny and Murf, a podcast by Raiders fans, for Raiders fans. We're the only fans that matter. Come on, everybody. It's Raiders Fan Radio!
Touchdown! Harry Stabler goes all the way!
We miss you. We love you. And we'll see you in the Hall of Fame.
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing. Just win, baby.
I love this team. I think this team can win.